So now I know since it's been about a month since you've been in the room, we have some updates, correct? We got some big fights coming up, some things that you discussed with Tank. We had some Gervonta Davis conversations and things that went on. A lot of people calling you out for reasons that maybe they thought you weren't being truthful about sparring him and winning that spar or whatever that may be. So I want you to just air out whatever you want to air out today. I'm excited to hear more about it because I haven't caught up with you. So I want to hear about what you got going on right now. And so let me have it, man. What's new with you?
Well, honestly, regarding the whole Tank situation, it was sort of, it caught fire unexpectedly because I have spoke about that in the past. And I've seen him after those interviews and it's been all love, everything's been fine. But I think there was also a boxing page that has a decent following that picked up our clip and reposted it. And
did they?
Yeah, and they chopped it up to really kind of make it look like I was just like talking shit.
See, that's funny because even when you said it, you said it with a ton of respect. It wasn't like, yo, fuck that guy. Like, I could beat his ass now if I wanted to. Like, here's the clip. I got it right. It was just like, hey, this is what happened. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
I was known as like his boogeyman. When he was slacking in the gym, they said, don't make me call Julian. Yeah. That's just reality. You weren't saying it as like a knock at the dude. And that's why the internet is such a crazy place where they'll take one clip, they'll paint a bad picture now about you like you're a liar. You were just talking. Like, it's a weird way that transcribed, because I didn't think twice about it either.
Yeah, they put up a poll. Like, do you think he's lying?
And Did they really?
Like, yeah, 70-30 thought I was lying. Like 70% thought I was lying and 30% was like, nah, maybe it's true.
That's
and I'm like,
crazy.
I'm like, all right. And then because he had all his minions come and comment and saying I'm capping and shit like that. So I was like, I kind of like was talking back and it's just, then he got into my DMs talking crazy shit, even mentioning my son and just, ignorance.
Really?
Yeah. So I responded. I'll even send you that back and forth. But, once I realized the gloves were off now, then I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'll say the facts. Like, first of all, I've been beating your ass your whole life. It's not just, we had 2 fights or whatever. We were sparring all those years. And every time we did spar, I had him crying in the ring. And that's just the fact. That doesn't mean anything at this point, but I'm saying the facts now. He was crying every time. Then when we were about to turn pro, I fought him 2 times. And I beat him both times. The first time I dropped him. I will send you the clip now and we'll drop it now. It's just people will say, oh, he was young. First of all, he was the same size as he is now, had tattoos. And at that age, he's knocking out grown men. But what? Because now I got him. Now he's a kid. Yeah. So there's a lot of hypocritical moments.
How old were you guys at this point?
We were about 16, 17. Okay. I fought him 2 times, yeah.
And is he a pro at this point?
No, right before we turned pro.
Right before you turned. Oh, you both were at kind of like the same levels. Yeah. Okay. And then we mentioned that was the interesting part for me. It was like, why do you think you guys went such different paths in the boxing game? And you mentioned management is so important.
Right. Management, injuries, injuries early on because I was overtrained my whole life. Right. I feel like, it catches up. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like there would be little dips here and there where, the next fight's on HBO and then boom, I have to get surgery. Yeah. So like, I understand also from a business point of view why like they'd be, okay, well, let's take it easy with him or let's focus on somebody else in the meantime or whatever, especially when I'm still young. At that time, 20, 21 years old. So, but here I am, fully recovered and healthy. Great team around me, and I'm ready to go. Everyone's gonna get it this year. There's no holding back. I'm at my best. I'm very comfortable with my team. The trust is there, and that's incredibly important to someone that's in this fight game.
Is that something that you haven't had in the past? The trust for your team and yourself, and
it depends. It depends what I choose to focus on. But at that time of my career, I just gave other people the complete power and control of my career.
Maybe because you were young.
Right. Yeah, I was young. And you think like, okay, these people, I trust them. Their guidance.
They know everything.
But sometimes they don't know everything. Right. And they are just as blind as you are. But yet they're steering the ship. So like, and all it takes in this game is to rub somebody wrong one time. Right. The wrong way one time. And it's just... then they go and spite me for it now. Sure. You know what I mean? So now I've dealt with a lot of that stuff in my career, but
I would assume it's like you have full trust or more trust in this team now because you have trust in yourself to know like, hey, there's some red flags that are being raised when I talk to this potential, whether training partner or trainer or coach or manager, like you're asking the right questions now. At 16, 17 years old, when somebody says, hey, that's going to be your manager, you're like, okay, I wouldn't even know what to ask him to vet him. But now you're like, no, I've been through this now way too many times. If you want to be my manager, here's what it comes with and here's what I need out of those certain things.
Right. And over the years, I've, developed some business sense.
Yeah.
And I've been, how do I say this? I've been through it in the boxing world. Mm-hmm. So I know all the ins and outs, more than the average fighter. So I know at this point, like what needs to be done. I know what type of mentality the whole team as a collective needs to have. Mm-hmm. I understand the importance of branding and marketing and things like that. And especially in this day and age, a lot of times you have these guys that are in the sport for 30, 40 years, but they're still accustomed to how things were in the 80s or 90s. And it's just not that. It's not that anymore. So adapt. You just got to go, adapt to the times. And also as I got older, like I said, I'm more intellectual when it comes to the sport of boxing.
Sure. Were you surprised how Tank reached? Because you mentioned that you guys were you guys were cordial. You had no problems with one another. Were you surprised how he reached out to you?
I wasn't surprised. Nothing surprises me in the world anymore.
At this
but,
point.
knowing him since he's a kid, he grew up in the fucking gutter, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He is that, so it wasn't a surprise when I saw him starting to mouth off. And
what was the initial reason for him reaching out? As in like calling you out for lying?
I mean, I think it was because of that boxing page that reposted the clip and kind of chopped it to make it look like
what you said wasn't true.
Yeah, or not that it wasn't true, but it was like that I said it with malice. They kind of made it seem like, like I was talking about, I knocked him down, whatever, and I got the video.
What was the page? I'm curious. Do you remember what the page was called? Because I'm curious how they chopped it up.
I don't know. I would have to kind of dig, but I'll send you the
yeah,
link
send me that.
But yeah,
that's crazy how stuff like that works.
Yeah, they took out all the like nice things I was saying.
You were saying a lot of nice things about him.
Yeah, I like the guy. I like his fighting style. You know what I mean? And I'm not an idiot. He has skill. I'm not hating on him. I never hate on the next man, bro. Especially surviving where he came from, and also in this sport of boxing, I know what you got to go through.
Right.
So there's never some hate or some jealousy in regards to that. I got asked a question you asked me, and I thought it was a cool story. Cool. A lot of people were even saying in the comments that they were there.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson DM'd me. He's also, I've also seen him grow up from a young kid, been around each other our whole lives. And he also said and clarified he was there too. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have a reason to lie. People are like, oh, he's capping for clout and things like that.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I wouldn't put myself out there like that. I know there are clowns that do shit like that, but I'm not doing that.
And it's not like, and even out of respect, you didn't show the clip, And now we're doing it only because people are painting you in the wrong picture. So it's like, hey, look, if you're gonna say like, here it is, whatever. You're not doing it to disrespect Tank, and if you wanted to disrespect him, you would have done it the first time. Yeah. And now that he's coming at you in a disrespectful-esque way, it's like, I guess I have to respond. And,
they forced my hand. You know what I mean? They're talking all this shit in the comments. Like, I normally don't care, but I'm also responding. I like the engagement. Cool. Also, it's part of my story, bro. I lived a cool fucking life, bro. Yeah. It's part of my story. If I want to say the truth or whatever, cool. If you call me out on a lie and I have the proof for it, I'll release it at some point. But I was sitting on that video since the day it happened.
Yeah.
And I haven't released it, for looking for some type of clout or whatever. Your clip got some traction, and, then there was a lot of ignorance going on in the comments. And, then once he kind of overstepped the boundary with saying things about my son and stuff like that, or just even reaching out with that type of energy, now it's like, okay, you think I'm that tough talk doesn't work over here, bro.
So was him reaching out to you, was it more just like disrespect you, or like did he want something out of you?
It was straight up disrespect. It was show me the video where you knocked me out, or even though you was 15 pounds heavier, you dick eater, all this stuff like that.
Really?
Talking shit about me and my stepdad at the time and all that stuff. So I mean, it's the low hanging fruit that he was saying things like, oh, get a job and shit like that. Like,
right.
But then like, because that wasn't bothering me, now he started to like go through my page and fucking sent me a picture of my son and was talking about his appearance, stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, you want to take it there? You know what I mean? That's fine, bro. I wasn't over here talking about your fucking bald-headed mother. But you know what I mean? You want to keep on talking shit like that? Don't worry. I'll play ping pong with you, bro.
Okay.
So it's things like that, bro, that like I'm very humble and I'm on my own journey, bro. The second I start looking over here at someone else's journey, that's where you start losing track of your own progression. So it's just like, you could tell he hasn't learned a lot of lessons in life to be going around acting like that. And if he would have did his research, not that he even cares, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really fucking matter.
Sure.
But listen, I'm telling my story. You don't fucking like it, do something or shut the fuck up.
Right.
That's it, bro. Fucking do something or do, that's it. Move on. So, that's what I felt like I had to do something.
I'm surprised you guys haven't had a chance to see each other again.
Yeah, we have. I mean, in passing. And
No, I'm saying in the ring, like actually. Like,
yeah, that's the way the boxing world's set up.
Right.
Different promoters don't work with promoters and stuff like that. I also, looking back, I don't think I made the right choice in terms of the promoter I chose to really start my career with. But,
Would you fight Tank again?
Absolutely.
How do you think he goes?
I think I put pressure on him like no other person. I'm the only one that has put that man on his fucking ass.
There's got to be a mental game to that too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you could look at me in his face, and he remembers. He had to shake out his legs for. If that was a real fight, like if that was a pro fight, he would have gotten knocked out in that fight.
Sure.
The fight that we did fight. You know what I mean? Because not only did I drop him, but I knocked his headgear loose. So when he got up and after his 8 count, the referee brought him to his corner, and they took a whole minute. I'm exaggerating, maybe like a good 25 seconds, 20 seconds, fixing the headgear.
Sure.
While Tank is shaking out his leg on the floor because he had no legs. He had no feeling in his legs.
Have you experienced that feeling? Like, what is he doing when he's? Because I've seen the video.
Well, it's.
Is it like are they numb? Do you, like do they feel like
numb.
a dead weight?
Yeah, basically.
And he just because like it's just a neurological thing where you don't even feel your legs.
Sometimes you get pins and needles in your legs,
that's what
and
I was
you
guessing.
have like no sense of.
Right.
It's sort of like that.
Because you watch the clip, you hit him, and there's a count, and then he's like stomping around just to kind of gain it. It's so interesting that he even knew how to do that. You know what I mean? And that's
you got to wake up the legs somehow.
Somehow, right?
But if that referee after that 8 count would have said, "Okay, box," I would have jumped on him, and he would have had no legs. So what would have happened?
Well, maybe there's a day that comes, and you guys could. Now, when you guys were messing back and forth, how were you responding to him? Were you at this point like, "Hey, I just was telling my story"?
No, I was talking shit back to him. Whatever energy he was kind of bringing, I was just staying there. I didn't have a reason to go and talk shit to him, but he did it to me, and I was just like, "There's no bitch in me, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck you see. What? Because I speak well? Get the fuck out of here."
Right.
And he'll see. I'll pull up to his fucking press conference and I'll look him right in his face, and he'll know I'm not that. What he thinks. So
was there an ask to spar one another? Like, did he ask you? Did you ask him?
Yeah. He was talking about come down to my camp. I'll pay for the flights of your whole team, this and that. But he'll do some shit like, "All right, come tomorrow, come Monday," and it was like Saturday night. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, so you would say, "All right, I'm
trying to." Yeah, initially I was like, "Ain't nobody fucking scared of you. I'll pull up. That's not a problem." But when you go like, come Monday, it's like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm like,
you're gonna drop your life now.
Get the fuck. Yeah. Well, stop it. You that mad? Then do something for real about it.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't want to now take your eye off the ball of your career because of one man. And again, maybe there are moments that you guys meet again in the ring. What is going on outside of Tank with your because you have some fights coming up, correct?
Right. I just solidified my management deal with my managers Dimitri and Steve, and they work very well together, and they both kind of bring different attributes to the table. And so far, so good, man. We've been in touch with a lot of these, A-list promoters, and we have some dates lined up. And once things are more official, I'll be able to,
Yeah. So nothing's locked in for sure. It's like a next couple.
Yeah, we have something in April, and we have a lot of things towards the back end of the year because they just started kind of negotiating with these guys, and they're like, "Okay, well, we have things here." It's kind of hard to be like, "All right, yeah, we'll fit you in 6 weeks."
Sure.
So, you're dealing with A-list companies, so it takes some time. I also have a lot of guys in the back end in terms of marketing and merch designing, and my guy Robbie Max, who has a whole hub of clothing and music stuff, and I'm a part of that brand. Destination Happiness is doing really well.
Awesome.
I'm bringing in a lot of people, bro. People that I know are there to work and have the drive and are in tune with the times, and that's important to have in this day and age.
You came with some new energy here. I feel like there's a relifting or a resurgence in your life right now. You seem more excited. Maybe there's more going on, and maybe I caught you at a time where you didn't know what the future kind of held, and it's great to see. Honestly, talking to you now, I'm like, I get excited because for me, outside perspective, I just see a professional boxer that seems to be great at what he did, and has a lot of questions as like what he could have done to make it better. So it's great to see now things are starting to align. If I know you can't mention names, these upcoming fights, are they with guys that are better ranked than you are?
Yeah, either better ranked or in the top 15. That's all we're looking for.
Right.
Now it's now or never this year.
Okay.
I'm done fucking waiting around. There's no time for that. My team is strong. I'm right there with them. You know what I mean? And that's it. It's time now. We're calling out all these guys, bro. Devin Haney's moving up to 147. You got a lot of people. You got Conor Benn at 147 that likes to talk a lot of shit.
Have you ever fought Devin Haney?
No. He's always kind of younger than me. He's in the younger crowd, like the Ryan Garcia's and stuff like that. Younger.
How old is he? Mid-20s?
I think so. Maybe somewhere around there.
And he normally fights what? The lower weight class?
I think he started at 135, went up to 140, then it became hard for him. Now he's at 147. So
hard to keep that weight. He was on Bradley Martin's podcast, right? And Bradley asked him if he could beat him in a street fight or whatever. Devin is like, bro, I'd ragdoll you. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm 6'3", I'm 260, bro.
Yeah, that doesn't matter, bro.
Yeah.
No matter how big you are, your chin don't grow with your body.
That's exactly. Every boxer you talk to is like, your chin doesn't grow, man.
Yeah,
I don't care what you say.
It takes a little tap there.
Right. Because he is hard, that dude.
Who's
Devin?
that? Devin Haney?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
No,
the guy has pillow hands. Bro. What the fuck?
All right,
it's pillow hands, bro. Stop it.
I'm trying to bait him to say that.
Nah, man. Devin Haney. Listen, he's a very skilled fighter. I don't know him personally or anything like that. He's a skilled fighter, but bro, when you're getting wobbled in a lot of your fights, bro, the skills can only take you so far, especially when you don't really have a punch behind you. You know what I mean? You get these tough guys that keep coming forward. The skill can only hold you for so long. You know, so yeah. I mean, I think that would be a great fight. If he's getting wobbled by these guys at 135, 140, just imagine at 147 when a guy's coming in, weighing in 147, the next day they're 162, 160.
What do you walk around at?
Around there, 160.
160.
Yeah.
So your weight cut's not that terrible.
No.
You kind of stay around the weight that you're
that's why 147, I'll be healthy. You know, for me to make 140, unless I've been very active throughout the year, it'll be tough. You know, if I'm active throughout the whole year, 140, I can make a hard cut for it and then maintain it, and then I think my body would adjust.
But like you said, like you hit hard, like that's your thing. So hitting at 147 versus you're cracking these dudes at 147, right? Like going down to 140. I'm assuming you run the risk now of just not performing as well as you could.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not just that I have heavy hands. What really contributed to my knockouts was my explosiveness. And me at 140, I am a lot more explosive. You know, it's quicker and it's the punch you don't see. That's what really, the punches that knock you out in boxing, they don't even hurt. They don't even, unless it's to a body shot, but they don't even hurt, bro. You get hit and you're waking up on the floor like, what happened?
Right.
And if you do get hit with a hard shot that does buzz you or shock your body, it just does that. It doesn't hurt where you're like, oh, my face hurts. It's more so like, whoa, like I can't feel my legs. What's going on? It just knocks off something in your brain, bro. It's
like a disorientation. You're like, you kind of don't know where you're at. And
that's
so. Do you feel like you want to maybe cut to 140? Or are you good at 147?
I think ideally
you do.
I would love to go back to 140, but I want to establish myself at 147, feel healthy, and then we'll make that decision down the line.
I saw you posted you're ranked number 10, correct? And now because we talked about it last time, like the federations are all over the place, and even for you, they're confusing. When you posted you're ranked 10th, what federation is that ranked in?
That was, we can ask my manager, Dimitri. He knows more of the
Dimitri, welcome to the podcast.
I believe it's the WBA or WBO.
It's with BoxRec basically in the United States at welterweight.
Okay.
Right. So.
Well, you'll hear him. It's all right.
No, you can't. I can hear it.
Okay.
Give me those headphones, bro.
My bad. That's so rude of me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So let me read. Yeah. So Dimitri will let you know about that. I'm ranked number 10 in which?
Yeah. So in BoxRec, the database for the fighters and everything is number 10 at welterweight, basically in the United States.
So any federation in the U.S.
Any federation overall.
And who's the number one welterweight?
Well, at 147, it's Boots Enos.
Okay. And now, if you were to drop down to 140, what happens to your ranking? Like, does that now just disappear? Like, how does that work?
So it depends. Like, it depends if I'm like, that's why it's like, why would someone do that when they're so close?
When you're already ranked 10th.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing. That's also why I didn't want to make the jump sooner to 147 because I was making noise at 140. I think at one point I was ranked 6 or something like that. So Yeah, when you're right there, you kind of got to
Stay
push
in your
through
lane
it,
type of
or at
thing.
least have a big enough fight where, like, you make a name for yourself. Where, like, okay, if you go to 147 now, you still have a name, so you can go and fight whoever you kind of want to fight before maybe a title fight.
I was about to say, like, I'm sure if you become the champ at 147, you said, look, I want to fight. You could pick your fight at 140,
Right.
and they're gonna have to accept, right? If they really want that. Okay, that makes, because I always wondered too, like with the UFC and any sort of fighting, when you become a champion, if you then jumped a different weight class, what happens to your ranking? And I'm assuming if you're the champ at one, or you're ranked 10th at 147, why would you not be ranked top 10 in 140? You know what I mean? Like, it only makes sense from like a weight class.
Yeah, it also
standpoint.
depends who you are as a fighter and who's behind you, because they'll bend the rules for anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really that. It's really that kind of business.
Yeah. What would you consider like a lot of fights per year? Like, I know that you said this is like your big year. It's like an all or nothing year. How many fights do you want to have?
Ideally, I would like 3.
Okay. And that's a lot for a year.
At this point in my life, or career, because it's all going to be tough opposition anyway.
Obviously.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, you never know, and we're training hard, but as far as there's a first round knockout, cool, I can go in there in another 4 weeks, you know what I mean? Or even a quicker turnaround if they allow it. But, it really depends on how the fight goes. But if I'm getting in there with these guys, it's going to be a long strategic fight.
Understood. So if you go the distance, let's say,
Remember your question. Toss me that sandbag real quick. I'm so sorry.
what happened?
Because this is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My bad. Now you're good.
Wow, so strong. Wow.
You got any fights for me?
But I mean, I think you can
Give me a
tell
sound
to
fight.
like the best guys, right? I mean, the best guys jump up and down classes, right? I mean, a lot of the best boxers have fought at like,
that's once they're already established.
once they're established.
Once
But yeah.
they're
Canelo
established,
could do that.
Yeah.
Terence Crawford could do
Yeah.
stuff
They
like
could pick
that.
their fights at this
Yeah,
point.
Tank even does that. He kind of,
Yeah.
And I also want to touch on the whole thing. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's not gonna fight you," and this and that. His last 5 opponents had less than like 20 fights.
So, okay.
So-
why is that? With no disrespect, is that like a money grab at that point? Like, why is he even fighting those dudes?
Well, because he's the A side,
He can do what he
his
wants.
team can really just form and create this narrative like maybe this is the one, or we have an up and coming guy, or this
Yeah, you
guy's
never
heavier
know.
as a knockout guy, or whatever. Or it's just like you're right, like there are money grabs, like him and Ryan Garcia. I feel like that fight happened a little too soon, but it was an astronomical amount of money.
When you say
involved.
too soon, what do you mean?
Well, they haven't reached their primes yet, I believe. I mean, Tank is getting already there. He's a little older, he's the same age as me. But you typically don't want to go into those big fights when you're in your early 20s and you have time to really mature and grow. Like Ryan Garcia is going to have a hell of a career, I believe. He's young. He's a young guy. So I feel like by the time he's 28, 29, he'll sort of be like, if everything goes well, like on a Canelo status, where Canelo's 33 maybe, and he's already worth over $100 million.
Of our generation, who other than like Mayweather and Canelo, like who are the big names in boxing? Because you would mention a name like Garcia, and to the common person, you would think Ryan Garcia is the biggest and best boxer ever. Because you don't really, all you know is what's going on in the media. Right. So is there like one guy that stands out that like, because you mentioned Ryan Garcia could eventually get to Canelo status. Who else would you consider to be at like a Canelo status?
It's tough. There's a lot of factors, right? So it depends where you're from, what country you're from, and how big boxing is over there. So Mexico, Puerto Rico, Ireland, those are like the top money making, like if you're a fighter from there and you're mediocre, the company will jump on you and protect you, because when you fight, the whole country's in that arena for you. They'll travel, and even if you're not that good.
It's so crazy.
Everything revolves around money. There's even been these fighters that are extremely skilled and can beat everybody, but the company won't move them because they can't sell 2 tickets.
I mean, that makes sense. It's like anything else. How could they afford to have you fight if nobody's coming to fight? Right.
And then, they don't want to put you up against someone they know you're going to beat or whatever if you're not selling, because then you'll beat the cash cow, So they protect those type of fighters. Like Ryan Garcia, he became big on the internet doing these cool little boxing videos, and then the company started really focusing and pushing him. So he like went a different angle. Devin Haney also like padded his record. His father invested in him. Great business plan. The father is a well-known guy in Vegas and is around a lot of celebs and stuff. So he used outside leverage and and went to Mexico and padded up Devin Haney's record and stuff. So he had, a decent amount of wins and stuff, and then like shopped him around after he created a buzz for him and a record, So there's different angles now in this day and age, whereas back then you had to fight your way through the rankings and
beat the best to become the best type of thing.
Yeah.
Can you explain, when you say padding, you mean Devin's going to different, or went to different countries to stack up wins, and now look, I don't know how many wins he has, the guy, but
he has like 31 wins.
Right.
But
they're against who?
Yeah, sucky guys.
Okay. Why wouldn't everybody do that then? Like, why wouldn't you just go and let me go rip 10 wins easy in a couple years overseas against guys I know I can
some
beat?
People aren't in that position. Like, if you start off like that and with the idea of like, I'm going to get this kid's record here and then sell him around or shop him around, it could work, especially if you're building up his brand in the meantime, doing YouTube stuff and having him around Trey songs and, all these people in Vegas, so that was like a great business move, but a lot of fighters like myself, they get the attention, especially if they're making noise in the amateurs throughout their whole life. They'll get the attention of these A-list promoters and they want to grab them super quick. I turned pro when I was 18. I just turned 18. And so you also, that is a big commitment because now you have to trust that they're going to do the right thing with you, and you're locked in a contract at that point.
Yeah, it is such an interesting how it's so interesting how business intertwines with boxing. It's not like that in like any MMA and UFC, a little bit, but like you don't get that in any other sport. Like the NFL drafts the best players out of college, that's it. Yeah. They're not drafting the most entertaining. They're not going to draft you because you have a cool story or a cool it doesn't matter at that point. That's why I think with this sport is like, the importance of having a team that's so strategic is so much more important than anywhere else. And like, you're a young kid, all you're focusing on is fighting. You don't know any better. Right. It's so hard to find, I would assume, the right people to surround yourself with.
Yeah, and also you got to be careful because as I was coming up, I did have a team that I trusted and they were protective over me. So like every type of opportunity that came around, they were like, nah, I didn't like that guy's face. And I'm like, all right, well, let's hear him out. No. And you just never know what opportunities you did miss out on. You know what I mean? So it is like it's a fine line, bro, because you do jump into something like that and it could ruin you. So it's...
How would it ruin you?
Well, if you had financial advisors coming around and stuff like that, and they're showing me portfolios and, also when you're saying these things and maybe the people that are handling your career aren't business sense, it is scary to them too. So like... oh, I've seen this before on 30 for 30 and people go broke and stuff like that. Well, things like that happen, or you think your money is safe or whatever, or they're telling you to invest in this and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, it didn't work out. And you can't do nothing about it. Things like that. Also, you also never know who you're getting in bed with in terms of contracts. And how easily they can be like, yeah, all right, we'll promise you this and this, or we'll do this in our best efforts, and then you sign that paper, and now they just kick their feet up and go, cool, I have him, and they don't utilize their potential.
They're gonna wait for you to blow up, and they're like, oh wait, I'm repping this guy, and now I'm gonna. It's like I mean, you mentioned like Devin and his dad, like if that wasn't his father, for example. That is such a take on for that guy, right? To an investment in Devin to hopefully be a name that then's worth putting all this effort into, because I'm sure there's plenty of guys that have spent a lot of time on fighters that let me go pad their records overseas. They're going to be great fighters eventually, and then they go overseas and they busted. You know what I mean? Then they're not the fighters they were supposed to be. You wasted all this time and money, and now it's like, what the fuck am I doing? So I'm so curious, like the risk reward ratio of taking somebody overseas and padding a record like that.
Well, Devin's been fighting his whole life, so he does have skill. It's great skill. You know what I mean? And his father believed in him, and even if it wasn't his father, you could see that the kid had potential. So it's just a matter of coming up with a plan that everyone agrees with, and everyone has to see the vision. Everyone has to be on the same frequency, man. And then, you carry it out. You make sure he's training the best. A lot of people think like here's a team, a good leader on a team, especially in boxing. They don't let the fighter do what they want to do. You got to control that fighter. Sometimes no one likes to train every single day. No one likes to get on a scale after a weekend. It's not for you to throw your hands up and go, oh, he's difficult, huh? I'm going to go away. No, a good team, they sit there and they realize what's at stake, and they push you because fighters need that. Fighters need to be pushed. And, you know, every great fighter has said this before. Muhammad Ali, Oscar De La Hoya, like, you know, you need a strong team. And if you're not feeling great that day, or you need a push, your team better be there.
Who's going to be there for it? Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you look up and you see your team making faces or walking away or catering to something else that has nothing to do with this business that you guys have been doing for whatever, what does that do to the fighter?
Yeah.
You know? And also it's important for the team to be there for the person. Like, not just Hammer Hands, but I need for Julian too.
Sure.
Like, you need to support my mental. You need to support, make sure everything is going smooth, especially if you want to lead the ship. This is what it comes with. And if you're not built with it, if you're not built for it, then cool. You know, then don't just keep me there like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you said, because like Julian versus Hammer Hands, that's going to impact the fighter. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Hey, checking out, hey, what's going on mentally? What's going on with your real life? And like you've been through a lot. So you can always say, like, when I get into the ring or I get to training, I'm gonna close the door and not think about that. It's very difficult sometimes, especially when you're dealing with kids and all this other nonsense. Like, you need a team, a support system of, therapists and friends that are just there to really, really want what's best for you. And I'm assuming as you're growing through this, that's hard to find. And now you walk around with like these like trust issues of like, do you really want what's best for me, or are you just looking for a cash grab?
Yeah, of course. You can't trust anybody in this world 100%.
Yeah.
You know that.
Of course. Everybody does.
Nobody.
You live long enough, right? Like, we're both 29 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you get to the point where like, I've seen this too many times. I get too excited and buy in too much with this one person for them just to snake me. And like, now I live with this like reservation.
I only trust myself. And that's the way it should be. You have to have that mentality, especially if you're trying to go on and achieve a certain level of success.
Right.
You have to preserve your sanity. You have to preserve your emotional level to the best you can. Because if you don't, everything crashes.
Yeah.
It takes one little mistake like that.
Yeah.
And I've been through the mistakes. So I know for sure.
Yeah.
So
You're not allowed to tell me who the next fight is. Is it booked already, confirmed though?
it's not completely set, but we got the word from the company to be ready for this date.
Okay.
So
And against, who the guy's going to be.
I don't think we know the exact name, but even if we did, we wouldn't tell it yet.
Right.
You'll have to have me back on here.
Exactly. Well, so do you know who it would potentially
It's
be?
not going to disappoint. That's what I'm going to say.
But you know who it is. That's what I'm asking. Like, like you're prepping for this person, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel against this invisible man that we're talking
Me
about?
at 100%, I beat everybody, bro.
So no matter.
I just had to fix a lot of outside shit, bro, to be honest.
Okay, well then let's talk. How do you feel about that stuff, the outside shit?
I think it's at a great place.
Yeah.
I have a great amount of support. Family members, my girlfriend, my management, everybody, my children support me. The only one that is left to perform is me. Everyone has been hands-on and has been performing for me. You know what I mean? So now it's really up to me, and I'm so glad I'm at a place now where I can run freely now and not have to like weed through the branches first. Oh, I could see it, but I got to get through this first.
shit,
Now
yeah.
it's
Were you able to acknowledge like that stuff was getting in the way at the time, or you just kind of didn't?
Oh yeah.
You knew.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You there's certain signs like, your mind is focused on something else, you know what I mean? As opposed to being in love with what you do, you have a certain amount of time in your day to think about things. And if you load up that time, like if you really think about it, like in terms of statistics and like you break it down like that, like the more time you think about negative things, it's taking away the positive things that you could be thinking about, or the things that motivate you, or, and in those times you typically want to be alone, especially if you're used to dealing with things in a certain way.
By yourself, right?
You want to be alone. You don't want people to see you in that light. And I feel sometimes maybe it's the competitiveness or stubbornness in myself, but I don't want to be that negative energy around other people. I want to, if I feel like I'm not myself, I'm cool. Let me figure that shit out by myself, and that's not the right thing, because I do have a lot of support around me. So, which I'm learning to lean on, and it definitely helps. It's a great deal because, people get in their own heads sometimes,
It feels good to like surrender a bit and let go and allow support to help you, and then have them actually help you. You're like, wait, that was real. I'm allowed to feel these ways and say these things to people and ask for help. And more often than not, people surprise you in both ways, right? They'll surprise you when they snake you, but then the real people in your life will surprise you with how much they can help. I experience like I'm a little more reserved as well when I don't share with people that I don't think could help me, right? If I don't think you're going to solve my problem, why am I telling you about it? I don't want to ruin your day and make you feel guilty or some type of way about my difficulties, right? So, but when you share that, you realize that you're just building a better bond with it, whether it's your girlfriend or your mom or dad or whoever. They appreciate that because you're letting them in, and then they flip it and they're helping you, and you're like, wow, you really had a different perspective on that one thing that I just couldn't get my head, or I couldn't figure it out myself, because they're seeing it from a different light. It's like it was that easy to figure out.
Yeah. I used to be like that with everyone.
Yeah.
Like just open up, and I felt like I just like connection. I like connecting with people. But you got to be careful at the end of the day, because there are people that will sit there and pretend to hear you out or sympathize with you, and then they're, months later or however many times later or whatever, they're fucking using that to their, as leverage for something, or, it's just like a waste of energy, I feel,
And then that's where the trust issues come in. You shared maybe you overshared with somebody. It felt really good to do it. And then months later, they're going around using it and taking advantage that you shared it with them.
Yeah, but it's good life lessons. So.
For sure.
So it teaches you how to read people. It teaches you, okay, maybe I won't say this or say it in this way, but it's just life, bro. I fucking love life, bro.
That's awesome, man.
I love this shit. Yeah, the ups and downs. I've learned to love it, and I've learned to see the value in all of the problems and all these things. I like to think I think differently than especially the average boxer.
I would hope, right?
Yeah.
You seem, and I remember we talked off camera last time, that you lean a lot on your faith in that regard, right? Just an appreciation for life and thanking God for what you got, whether it's an up or a down. And that, I would assume, roots you and grounds you, and that's why you're allowed to kind of do all these different things, and now you can take on the world,
Right. When I'm low, when I'm down in the shadows, man, like I can tell because nothing is aligned, bro. I'm out of shape. My spirituality is not really intact. It's just things like that. Even my self-care, I told you, like it's just things like that. So once I start moving towards and aligning those things, brother, I'm unstoppable, bro.
Yeah. You feel like you're
unstoppable.
Right now.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there. There's still always work to do.
For sure.
But last time I was here, honestly, I was dealing with a fucking swollen ankle, so I was out of the gym fucking 3 necks over here, so
I was about to say you lost weight from that time, no?
Yeah.
How much did you weigh when you came here? About a month ago. Let's
what
tell
are
him
you
right now.
Here? Don't even tell him what we went to go eat after.
I won't say about the pizzas and nothing. He ate nothing. He had a salad.
Yeah, that's right.
I ate the pizza, exactly. No, but you do. You look healthier. Your skin's glowing. You got a chiseled chin now going on. So I'm assuming camp for this Invisible Fighter started, correct?
Yeah, it definitely has started to ideally ramp up in the last 2 weeks, but there's some minor things that we got to get through.
Just figure out. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is like a typical day? Every day is different now?
Yeah, it's different. It's different. We have to, now that we have like that date that we're working towards, we have to really sit and strategize with the team on it's a different time. We've been training, but now it's camp time. So
camp is different.
Yeah.
How does camp differ in regards to sparring? Like how much you actually sparring on a weekly basis when you're in camp?
Ideally, it would be 3 times a week.
Okay.
But it's different sparring. At this age, maybe 3 times a week when I'm 20, 21 years old, and I have all this whatever, and I recover quickly. I have all the energy and recover quick. But now I would probably do 3 times a week, maybe 2 weeks out of the camp. Mm-hmm. And then the rest, we'll drop it down to 2 sparrings. And then maybe 1 could be a lighter spar with a lot of rounds.
Sure.
Whereas the next one is maybe 6 hard rounds with a really good guy. So it depends. It depends on you. I've been in camps with all these world champions, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, your Dennis Ugas, like a lot of these guys. And a lot of times I would be like, these are the sparring partners they have. These are like legends in this game, like world champions and stuff. Why do they got guys like this?
Sure.
I just didn't understand at that time.
There's a strategy to that.
Yeah.
Did you notice out of like the world champions you were training with, did some just like love to brawl and others like were very reserved in their sparring? Or they all kind of followed the same suit?
You know, it's crazy. The ones that love to brawl didn't really have a long career.
That's one of my questions. Like, right, like how could you withstand time if you're sparring balls out every day? Like, I train jiu-jitsu, I can train pretty balls out, right? And really feel like I left it all on a mat. The only difference is I'm not getting hit in the head. Like, I'm going to tap out when I'm about to choke out or break my arm. Whereas like you get hit in the head too many times, and now you're not thinking the right way. So for you, like, how often are you bringing a spar to close to 100% fight?
Well, I hope there's no balls out when I'm sparring anybody. So, but I think it depends. You know, I have a different style to me. Like, I could brawl if I wanted to. I could box and then brawl for 10 seconds at a time.
Right.
You know, so, but let's say Ruslan Provodnikov was a guy I sparred with too, and he was known as a big brawler and came forward, a Russian guy. And that's exactly how he fought. And every time he fought, his face was out to here with cuts and things like that. How long of a career you think you're going to have like that? So then I would notice guys like maybe Manny Pacquiao, where he's just playing around with a guy and just working on things he needs to work on, but his running is crazy.
Really?
You know, it's 8 miles on a light day. And, you know, running these mountains up there. I forgot the name of the mountain, but basically like Runyon Canyon, where like there's Hollywood, the Hollywood sign is at, and I would go with him. So like, it's just different. It depends on you. If you're injury prone, maybe it's lighter sparring is the way to go, but maybe more frequently then.
Okay.
You know, so you're getting your timing and things of that nature in line. But, you know, as for me, I like to, you know, get in the hard sparring where I feel like when I feel good, then I want to go. Then I want to, if I feel like I'm in shape and stuff like that, then I want to go. And that's doing a lot for me, not only in terms of physically, but mentally. Yeah. Because now it's like, all right, I'm on go now. So bring your A game.
I mean, also, like, you haven't fought in how long now? It's been a while.
Well, it's been September
of
24.
Oh, shit. Really? Okay. I thought it was longer than that. Okay. So that's like a pretty common, I guess, time period. But you want to keep fresh in being able to fight. Like, so if you didn't go sparring and you're light sparring, like you said before, you're going to start losing a little bit of like that confidence of, wait, do I still got what I used to have type of thing? So is that what you're like looking for, is like when it's going really well, bring on the best guys? I want dudes that are going to come in here and try to knock my head off type of thing?
No, definitely
Still
not.
no.
No, for me, it's more so having all the moving parts in sync. Having my running schedule in sync, my diet in sync, my water intake in sync, you know, marketing stuff in sync. Like it all helps. It all contributes to me being complete as a fighter.
Sure.
You know, and you know, it's just it all works together, man. So like, and in order for it to work together, you can't do one aspect extremely hard because then it takes away from the other stuff. If I'm doing crazy running every day, I'm not going to have enough energy to go to the gym and spar 10 rounds. So it's like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit sparring here. And then once you're at a certain level, then you could run hot a little bit. Yeah. But it's all timing. It's like such a science, bro. And I'm still trying to master it myself. I haven't mastered it yet, but it's still a process. Every day, every year, your body's changing, man, especially at this age. Dealing with stuff from all these years, you know, injuries or little flare-ups, you know, you're hitting shit every day hard, you know. You're getting hit, even in the sparring when there's adrenaline pumping. You may not think, but, you know, you'll get hit in the arm and think it didn't hurt, but then the next day you're like, why is my arm cracking all day? You know, like it's just things like that. You know?
I think that's the funniest part about people that don't fight and just watch fighters. Like, you'll watch somebody get knocked out or hit in the head. You're like, man, that was like nothing, right? Because I'm sitting on the couch watching it. Like, you don't realize like the next day or the next week, this dude is struggling with the ring in his ears, or he can't see. Probably, like you said, his arm is sore because he got hit and he doesn't know where. Like, that stuff hurts and wears down the body. Yeah. You don't think twice about it if you're not training. Does your coach now? You have a lot of trust in this guy. Does he really get methodical with like, okay, Julian needs this week to prioritize his cardio? We're going to hit running really hard. How much do you lean on him versus how much do you want to structure and schedule out for yourself?
I really love my coach right now. His name is Beck. And he, not only is he intelligent and has been a fighter himself, that's also what I'm looking for now, because there's certain aspects where it's not just about sitting on the ropes and yelling at the fighter to do something. You need to understand the fighter mentally. And he also gets in the ring and spars with me sometimes if I need. So like, yeah. So, but he also implements a new type of style that I haven't really utilized in my life. That Russian style, pendulum step, back and forth, working on different things. Whereas, you know, all my life I've had this American type of style, but now that I'm implementing this style, I feel like I'm just adding more stuff to my arsenal. And what I really did enjoy too was his the way he sees things, his mentality. You know, he comes from that strong mindset, and I think he's a great add on to my team, man, honestly.
That's such an interesting perspective, is like you got this guy that came in and he turned your perspective upside down, because like he's now he's showing you something at 30 years old that you've never been exposed to. You got to be like, well, what else is out there? Like, what else am I missing out on? Maybe there's a style that suits me better than my style right now that I just don't know about. Did he like see your style and say, hey, this would apply really well to you? Or that's just how he coached and it was like...
Yeah, well, a little bit of both. He studied. So the first day I went to go train with him, like there's been things within my style that I've noticed for a long time that I wanted to change. And then the first day that I met with Beck to go train with him, he pointed out all those things to me.
That's interesting.
And I was like, you're on the team.
Yeah,
That's it.
You know? Can you give us an example of like what you were thinking about and what he saw instantly?
The way I threw my right hand, I didn't really like, or
Really?
I wasn't extending the way I needed to, but it was mainly because of positioning. And he's showing me ways on how to open up those positions for me to feel comfortable enough to throw the right hand, and working on technique and things like that. So it's just, he brings a different point of view. And we all need that at times when you're so stuck in a way, or maybe a little bit entitled, because I have been doing this my whole life, and I've had great success with my style. So like, why look at anything else? It's just me being at 100% in shape now, and then my skills will handle the rest. But no, it's like, there's more to learn. And now I open up this new fucking journey, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm a newbie again doing this style.
That's so he's teaching like, hey, like if you were to teach somebody, I don't know if you've probably coached like somebody. If you were to teach somebody how to throw a jab, what are you telling this person? Like right now, if I'm coming to you as a client and I'm like, I've never thrown a punch before, teach me how to throw a jab.
I would teach you how to distribute your weight first. How to stand, how to feel comfortable. I would tell you, okay, have a little gap between your legs so your feet are not lined up this way. Have them out like here. Have your center,
Center of gravity in
the middle.
Okay.
In the middle, and then bend a little bit. Give me a bend like you're Spider-Man. Don't sit up like this. Now your body's exposed. So crouch a little bit. Stick your ass out.
Oh wait.
Hey yo, no diddy. So you do that, and then I get them comfortable with stepping. If you're going to the left, step with the left foot first. You're always trying to keep this. So if you're moving to the left foot, and then right foot follows. You're going backwards, right foot, left foot follows. So over here, you're going here, you're going here. You're always keeping this. You're never crossing this way. So I get them comfortable with that. Then when they do throw the jab, I tell them, okay, when you extend the left hand, your feet, this is your feet, by the way. Right. Your feet go out. When you extend the jab here, and then when you bring back the jab, your right foot comes back. So boom, boom. And then I get them comfortable with that. Then I start teaching them now the pendulum step. I get them comfortable with moving both feet in and out. Then I tell them to switch stance. So they go here, now in and out, just to get them used to that rhythm.
Moving, right.
Because they'll get the footwork right, but they don't understand the rhythm yet. And it's all tempo in there. So that you have a little rhythm. Every fighter has their own little rhythm. So every time they start showing me signs of the rhythm, I kind of either maximize on it or...
Understood.
So I always kind of go with what they're showing me or what they initially need help with.
Yeah. It's just interesting how somebody asks you how to throw a punch, and the last thing you mention is actually throwing the punch. Yeah. It's everything else before that leads up to like
it's
the
all
power.
It's all your body. It's all how you set up your body. If you stand straight up and you throw your arm out like this, fucking a baby will laugh at you if you hit him in the head with that's not where you're going to generate power. It's your body using it's all the buildup from the feet all the way to the hip and then into the snap. Like when you roll up a towel and you go to fucking smack your friends around, it's you load up and then at the last minute, that energy snaps. It's about the snap. So that's what
it's a similar motion or I guess concept when so Bo Nickel teaches a really good snap down in wrestling, right? When you see somebody's wrestling and they snap the person's body down to the ground. It's you're whipping a towel, right? It's not necessarily you're taking this man and dragging him to the ground. If you're any good wrestler, you're not just going to get thrown to the ground, right? So it's using the momentum of your body, creating the space and whipping your arms like they're wet towels. That's the exact that's the exact analogy he gives. So I'm assuming that comes from like the power, and it looks so fluid. It looks so like it's like an art.
Yeah.
You don't know what the fuck just happened. They just smacked you in the face with a jab. You're like, whoa, why did that feel so much better than if I were to throw a jab at somebody? You know, it's like what comes with the body. It's such an interesting thing to watch and then actually go and learn.
Yeah, I even like I train a younger kid. His name is Andrew, right?
They're probably easy to train.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's a little difficult if they play other sports and they're so used to different stances and stuff. So like, I'll try my best to make analogies. Like, you know, you don't just stand up straight and swing a bat, right? You sit here and you load up, and then your body goes first, and then the bat swings.
Right.
And I kind of like talk to him in that language for him to be like, oh, okay, that's how you throw a hook to the body. Your body comes first, and then you swing the arm behind it, as opposed to sitting there and going, you know, you let your body do the work, and then you swing your arm, and then at the last second you provide the snap, you know.
Okay, yeah. So this is just like the extension.
Sort of
what's
like the
going on
body
with
shot I hit you with that day.
Yeah, you did. He hit me with a body shot. He gave me what I think that was 110%. He gave me his all. He said, I'm gonna give everything I got to this dude, and I said, I wouldn't have been. Yeah. I said, cut the tape.
I wouldn't have been back on the podcast.
I would have sued him. No. That was good. Like that gives me perspective because I've been hit before, sparring, whatever. But like being hit by a guy that knows how to really, really throw a punch, even at 70% of whatever you thought that last punch was, is like, oh my God. And that's getting hit once, right? Like if I was sparring you, I'd have to be able to hang there and I'll fight you again. I took it and said, all right.
And not only that, but that's you knowing it's coming.
Yes.
That's you seeing and preparing and holding your fucking asshole tight.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like, you know what I mean?
So I don't lose myself on the
But like if I throw like some shit quickly up here and then drop down when you're distracted over here, now it's getting hit hard in the fucking stomach. You can't breathe. Automatically your legs will give out and you'll be on the floor fucking screaming.
I'm sure. I just think that's what's so interesting about different styles of fighting and training is, and I don't know why, you take anytime you see a wrestler, like a really, really good wrestler, and their first day of throwing a strike, it looks so awkward and weird. And I wonder if it's just mechanically what you're training your body to do is not what you need it to be doing when you're doing that one thing, right? So maybe when you're a wrestler, you're a little more stiff and you're used to just being a little more closed in and grabbing, and then like you go to throw a punch and they're like, or they're really they're like robotic, you know what I mean? Or a big weightlifter has got all these big muscles but has no thoracic turn rotation. He can't move. He's physically now not allowed to do that because of his sport. He's been so stiff. And we talked about it on another podcast how you're literally creating the chest is supposed to be a barrel, the rib cage is a barrel, and you're creating like this box out of the rib cage. When you add so much stress and muscle onto it, you go to try to turn that thing and it's impossible and it looks so awkward. It's like trying to run.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, there's different tactics. I mean, it depends on your body type. Some fighters are short and stocky and don't have a great arm length to them. So now, all right, you got to work with what you have, but what style will benefit that? You're not going to sit around and box on the outside with short arms. Like they're going to just tower you. So it's more so, I'm actually training a guy right now that has a lot of muscle mass on him, and he's used to being a wrestler, and he does a lot of weight training now. But now I'm breaking him in as far as finding his agility and things like that. So it is a cool process, but it's good to, there's just little steps, bro. One step at a time. You know, if you sit there looking at this big mountain, you're gonna be like, fuck. At this. But one step at a time. Like, okay, today we'll work on footwork. Today we'll work on, understanding your position in the ring and moving accordingly, to provide constant pressure on your opponent, even though you're not doing anything. Like there's ways to or keep your opponent from thinking about his strategy and just focusing on you. So now it takes away from him thinking about himself. So all those things.
You're taking him off his game type of thing just by being annoying. Man. I think it's like you watch a Mike Tyson. Like he had to have trained differently than the dudes that he was fighting because of how much different his body was from them. You know what I mean?
Right.
He would you consider his style, like how would that style, I guess, do for somebody that wasn't built like him? Like if you took his style and adopted it, would that fare well for somebody like you?
Well, I mean, the guy punches like a horse, bro. So that's the whole factor. But what really made him special was because no other fighter in that heavyweight division had that type of explosiveness. That's where you're going to get knockouts. Sure, there's guys with heavy hands and a heavy punch, let's say George Foreman. Right. But when they're slow and and they're like some doing caveman punches. It's just a matter of getting beat up. If he lands a great shot on you, then that's one thing. But with Tyson, it was his speed, his awkward movements, and then jumping up and throwing combinations, his explosiveness. That's what really caught people off guard.
Yeah.
And as he got older and maybe was a little less disciplined, he lost the speed. And, that's like the first thing that kind of goes when you start to get old is your speed and your agility. So once he started to lose that speed and obviously his conditioning,
right,
that's when things started to really go bad for him. He started, people started strategizing against him, waiting for him to burn out, or, he's a lot slower, so they just pick him apart easier. But him in his prime, was a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching I remember the first time I saw Deontay Wilder throw a punch, I was like, what the fuck is that? That is the scariest thing I've ever seen a man do in a ring. And it looks like he's just wailing on guys. But he's so, like you mentioned, you got to like kind of work with what you got. He's so long, and I'm assuming that thing hurts like a motherfucker getting hit by that punch. Yeah. But he's able to just whap somebody with it.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And it's funny because he's had a lot of success too because he's awkward.
Yeah.
So he's tall and awkward and long. So like, you can't train for someone like that, really. Yeah. A lot of people will look on the outside and look at a fighter and see maybe they have an awkward movement or maybe they throw awkward punches or whatever. And they're like, how is this guy in the top 5?
Right.
It's because of that. It's because he's different and unique. So it's hard to train for someone like that. And then when you have, a unique style and they do have a punch on them, it's like, oh, shit, you're getting hit with things you didn't expect. And that's the beauty of boxing. Not everyone is sharp and strategic, and some people just go in there with balls and fucking heavy hands and purpose in life.
Yeah.
And they just they're hitting people like this. It's like you're like fuck, like you don't know what to do with that sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why boxing is awesome.
That's how it happens too. Like you got trained dudes when they go in like a street fight or whatever, and they're like, "What is? I'm not used to this at all. I can't apply my technique." And I do think there is, there should be a humbleness to training any sort of fighting combat sport. But like, just know that a street fight is a street fight, right? Like nobody, if you're training, is going to be setting up the way you're used to, and to get in the mindset of like, oh, I train, I'm going to be able to beat up everybody on the streets. It's like not always how it works. And sometimes the brawlers are just the ones that are able to win and pick you apart because they're not thinking twice about what they got going on.
Yeah. Also, it's different in the street, man. You have no gloves. So, you could be all skilled all you want. All it takes is for one little wild shot to hit you the right way, bare knuckle, and you don't feel your legs.
Game over, man.
So, yeah.
I mean, like, I think the problem that I would assume guys have would be like their egos, right? Like you mentioned, a lot of guys want to look really nice and clean on a bag. Like I watch you hit a bag and it's like beautiful, right? Like your technique is perfect. If I watch Deontay Wilder hit a bag, it's like, dude, what is going on? This man's just wailing at it doesn't look good. But maybe me or somebody else's training, maybe my style isn't set up to have a perfect. It's like, how do you train to have an awkward style? Your coach is going to tell you go out there and look awkward. You're going to have to like adapt that yourself, and that comes with just being a veteran in the sport. What works best for you, and you have to go and apply that and have confidence in it. And even if your coach is like, hey, do something else, I would have to assume in the beginning, you got to be like, no, man, this is what works for me.
Well, that's like you said, man, that's the ego.
Yeah.
And, like in reference to Beck, when he came in and was teaching me the different style, because I've been in the game so long, I immediately saw the benefits of it. And the fact that it was teaching me something different that I can utilize. As far as like my rhythm or my style, as far as what I'm used to, I'm already kind of how do I say? I'm very versatile already.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can't do.
Right.
At this point, it's just a matter of managing like height and arm length and things like that. Now it's like, okay, what's the strategy with this guy? What's his best punch? How can we take that away from him? How do we, okay, he's long, he's 6 foot. Okay, how do we, is he slower than us? Okay, so he is, so that's an angle. We could use our speed to get in and use feints, and then we'll rush in. So it's so different, but you have to have the experience for that.
Yeah, to know.
Or the coaches for that.
Yeah. But Julian, I think you gotta give yourself a little credit, because I think you've been in the game for such a long time, and talking about changing up your style at your point in your career. But what Beck taught you, you applied in that last fight in September 29th in Atlantic City, right, in 2024. And you used that style in the fight, right? Just after having trained with Beck for like whatever number of months.
Right, yeah. And it's so funny because, good job, Dimitri.
Thank you, Dimitri.
It was so funny because it was my first fight back in a while. So there are certain like hesitations that you have in the ring.
That's why I thought you didn't fight. Yeah, because I remember you like 2 years not fighting.
Since that fight. But and the guy was bigger. It was my first fight. I won 47. So there were some things. Also, the guy he was a pretty good guy, experienced, 17-1 or some shit like that. And he has been around. So he had good skill. But the second I started implementing the pendulum step and using this hand as a distraction, it completely shut him down. And then instead of playing chess with him for a while, it became more like, I found your weakness.
You knew you got him.
I knew I had him at that point, and I knew I had him on the back foot, and I had him, instead of like us, like, okay, what's he gonna do now? It was more so like,
it's my game.
Yeah, it's me. Now he's worried just about what I'm doing and not on his strategy.
You can see that flip switch too. It's
and it's so fun, bro, to know that you could look at somebody in their face and be like, I fucking got you. I got you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And they see it. You see it.
And they know it too.
I could look at somebody right in the eyes and know if they got bitch in them. That's number one.
Yeah.
Two, like the second we're in the ring, you can't hide your face, bro. You can't hide your expressions, or maybe I just know what to look for. I know what it looks like too, but I know exactly when I start figuring them out. I know when they're on a pump, like, oh, I got them with a good shot. I know that. I know when they're getting tired. I know when I hit them to the body, even if they try to hide it, the fucking vein in the neck comes out a little bit. So I know they're holding their breath because they can't breathe. So like, there's so many indications that I just, through experience, I just picked up.
You ever talking shit in the ring? You ever talking shit? Have you talk shit when you're fighting?
I think so. Okay. I don't remember a lot of my fights. Like, there's so many things going on, tunnel vision, adrenaline pumping. Like, there's times like I don't even know
what.
Until like after I watch the video and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that part. Like, yeah, it's completely gone. Like after the fight, I can't tell you what happened in the third round 2 minutes in. Like, I can't.
Yeah, because you seem like the type to go. You could go either way. You could be very respectful and not say anything, and you could also be the guy that's like, hey, if you want to give it to me, I'll give it to you right back.
Yeah. No, I do that. Yeah. I don't fucking bitch out. That's number one. But like initiating, I typically wouldn't do that. But now I'm doing that shit because fuck that.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
That's it. It's now or never. And I have a different pump in me now, a different motivation where like I'm not talking shit to the person where it's like, oh, look at you. Like it's more so like for myself. It's like I'm pumped. Like, whatever. I don't know what the fuck to say right now.
Get you going. And
it's also used as a tool. So like if I hit him with a good shot and I know it hurt him, then I'll be like, yep. Oh, what happened? You know what I mean? And it's like,
I'm like, please stop. Time out. All right. Yeah, that's debilitating, man. And when he knows that you know what I mean? Now like he's in your head and you're like, fuck, this guy's got me.
Yeah.
He tagged me. It's like what it could be. I forget who Khabib was fighting where he's like, please brother, tap out. Like he's like I have it. Like I know I have it. Just tap out. He's like just give up. He's like just give up. Kept saying just give up. And the guy's like, what the fuck do I do right now except give up? And I have to. Like he's calling his shot at that point. Yeah. The pendulum step. Can you explain that a little more? Like what the difference is between that and what you were doing?
Yeah, it's basically a change in your rhythm. It's whereas American fighters maybe are more. It's like a Russian style. If you look at the Russians and especially in the Olympics and stuff, they're very active and they're always kind of bouncing on their feet in an awkward
almost
tempo.
Moving like
at the same time,
like a jump,
kind of back and forth, pendulum. You know what I mean? So I mean, I would get up and show you, but maybe after.
Yeah.
So like, but basically, it's just doing that, and by doing that, you're always, as opposed to walking around like, like this, or you can time that. Fighters can time, okay, when he does this foot, I'll bum rush him because I know his balance is off, But when you're going here, and even it's not just back and forth, sometimes it's 2 forward, 1 back. Then it's wherever the distance is, and it's like, fuck. And then the movement is back and forth. What it does is it messes up the distance too, so they can't read you and see how far you are. Or they'll think that you're far, and then they'll throw something, and then there you go with your double step with jabs, and now you're on top of them now.
Is it more tiring for you? Like, do you have to have a better core?
Well, yeah, you got to use it in spurts.
Okay,
but
understood.
training with it helps my conditioning like crazy.
Right.
And when I train with Beck, when we're in camp, we would do 2 sessions a day. So like the first session would be a light session in the morning, 10, 11 a.m. And it would be mostly things regarding that footwork, exercises on the ladder, in and out on the ladder, working jabs and technique and, just things like that with light shadow boxing. And then later on in the day, we'll do like a harder session with pads and bag work.
Yeah. Okay.
But that dynamic and also that change in the training and keeping consistent with it.
Well, cool, man. Look, I'm excited. I think this is really. I'm happy we got you in here. When you do announce, let me know because I want to come. Where would the fight be? Do you know that?
Most likely on the West Coast.
All right, maybe I'll fly out for that one. We'll figure it out. Anything else you want to shout out before we go?
Oh man, I really appreciate you having me back, man. And it's always a pleasure being here. And thank you to your viewers, man. I really appreciate you guys. And
we're part of the journey now, man.
Yeah,
Anybody that's watching is following along,
it,
and you're always welcome here.
Thank you, brother.
So that's it, guys. Julian Hammerhands Rodriguez. We are done for the day. Like, subscribe, and share all the good stuff. Cheers.